Hello, welcome to this video. We're doing a little mini series within the CAGED system series of videos. We're finding 5 ways to play all of those 5 common shapes: the C shape, the A shape, the G shape, the E shape, and the D shape. And within each of those, we're looking at 5 ways to play each of those actual chords on the guitar. We've already done the C chord, the A chord, and the G chord, 5 ways of playing each of those chords. Now we're looking at the E chord. We want to find 5 ways to play an E chord. Okay. We know one for sure, the open position E chord. This is an E shape of my hand playing an E chord in that open position. Okay. So now I want to play an E chord, another E chord. Maybe start from the beginning with the C. I want to use the C shape to play an E chord. I want to find an E chord. Okay. What's the first question we need to ask? We need to find an E note on the second string so that I can find the bass note to build my chord from. I need to find an E note on this string. Okay, on the second string. I've got G, A, B on top, C, D, and what do we have memorized here on the 3rd, 5th, 7th fret, second string? We have memorized that this is an E note. Boom, I've got my bass note. I've got my root. I know that that's an E note. So now I need to build a C shape there. Okay, from that, here's my bass note for my C shape. So if I, capo here, back here, or I clamp it and build that C shape again, not very easily. It's not a very commonly played chord, but you might as well practice it. It's good dexterity and all the things. I'm now playing an E chord using a C shape. The C shape shares a bass note with the A shape. Boom. Now I've got my A shape of my E chord. You following me? There's my E note, right? C shape. I could capo there. No, not capo there. Capo back here accordingly so that my E, I land on my E note here as my bass note for the shape. Now I'm playing an E chord. Yay! If I want to do the A shape, I need my bass note to be there. So I'm actually going to go to that note because the A shape has the bass note on the second string. Naturally, A has a bass note back here on the second string open. So I need that to be my bass note as I bring my shape. Boom. E note, A shape. Capo there on that note to build the A shape. Okay? So there's my C shape, there's my A shape of the E chord. Let's look at a G shape, meaning I want my hands to make this shape, but I want it to play an E chord. Okay? So I need to find an E note on this string. Well, this one's going to be a goofy one because the E string, the E note, is way back here open. So I can't build a G shape back there. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So I would say we wouldn't use a G shape to make an E chord because 1, down here it doesn't work. And 2, if I did follow it to find my next E, I would go up to a full octave of that at that 12th fret. And that also really doesn't make much sense. If I'm strumming big chords, I might use it in a lead situation. Right? In some kind of sense, I'm seeing, maybe using my mind's eye to see that shape. Right? But again, I guess my point is I wouldn't necessarily want to capo way up here on the 9th fret to use that G shape. But there it is. It is on the 12th fret. I want my bass note to land back here it was a G note. I want it to land on the E note accordingly. So when I strum it, it ends up being an E chord, right? All right. So that leaves us with the E shape of the E chord. There it is. I could also go all the way up here to the 12th fret. Open position, right? Open E, just regular E. 12th fret. Okay. Which leads us now to the D shape. So I want to use the D shape to play an E chord. All right. So I need to find an E note on this third string because D is built from the third string down from the top. I need that to be an E note. Well, D is right behind E. D, E, right? D, up a step from D, is E. Another way to look at that, just go with me here. Top string, E. Let's do our 2 down, 2 over rule from our top E. If we go down 2 strings from there, up 2 frets from there, we have another E. It's the same place when I play my E chord. Top string, 3rd string down, 2 frets up, octaves. So now I have my E note. Now I've got my bass note to use my D shape. I'm probably not gonna bar that and build that way. A common way might be to put a capo there on that. Now the 3rd string down is a E note, D shape, E note, all right? I'm just going from D. I'm just playing those bright strings, sliding it up to be an E. D, E, A, B, C, D, E, D, E. Makes sense? So that is 5 ways to play an E chord. I hope you've enjoyed that video. Definitely follow along in the series. In the next video, we're going to talk about 5 ways to play a D chord using the 5 shapes that we know. My name is Jacob Paul with Inside Out Online, and I'm going to see you on that next video. Thanks for hanging out.